So who are your friends and who are your enemies?
Well, I've learned a lot, I have to tell you. I mean, part of the book, I'm going to be writing a book. I don't know why I'm even on the show, except we want to get you good ratings. I said to Faith, we're going to get you some major ratings. And you are. You're going to get big ratings.
Tell the rest of the story, though.
I know.
I saw you at the Celebrity Chef dinner here in New York.
And what a kiss.
You kissed me on the lips in front of the paparazzi, and I said, that'll cost you. I'm booking you on the show.
I know, that's good.
True story,
the
correct?
kiss was so good, and it was so open and nice. She is a fabulous woman. And I
so open and nice.
And her husband is a handsome devil, I'll tell you. He's a good guy. But I think he had his back turned at the time. But,
yes.
So we had a good time.
That was the man who's now president of the United States, bragging in 1992 to a studio audience about the nice open kiss, I think he means open-mouthed kiss, that he unexpectedly planted on a married woman while her husband's back was turned. That interview aired on a syndicated daytime talk show called A Closer Look. That was hosted by a longtime news anchor and reporter named Faith Daniels. That back and forth we just aired, that bit about Trump sneaking up on Faith Daniels and kissing her when she least expected it, that was not a one-off sort of creepy comment in an otherwise run-of-the-mill interview. That's basically what the whole thing was like.
You are seen in the company of lots of beautiful women, Donald.
I like beautiful women. You're very beautiful. This is really a beautiful woman. I really do sleep well, and I think, you know,
you don't lie awake at night and chew your nails and worry about this.
No, I really don't. And some people have an ability that they really don't worry about things too much. I would say that I have that ability. If I did, I probably would have been in a corner with my thumb in my mouth and just going, you know, Mommy, take me home. I want to go home.
Well, you certainly aren't doing that. We saw evidence of that.
No, I'm not. No. Somebody else's thumb in my mouth.
Could you ever see yourself pulling a Perot?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I'm so controversial. I love beautiful women. I love going out with beautiful women, and I love women in general. And people would say, oh, that's a horrible thing. You know, somebody would say, what would they say if you said you love women? I'd say, I agree. I love women.
In your case, I mean, we've already gone through all the scandals. There'd be nothing left to uncover, haven't we? I mean...
You might be right. You might be right.
Do you have a question you'd like to ask the Donald?
Yes. If you could have your choice, who would be the one person you'd date?
Wow.
Or who are the three most beautiful women in the world?
Well, how about Lady Di? That would be an interesting one. She's going to be available.
She's married.
Why not?
That would be it? That's your choice? Look around. What kind of women do you like?
I think my choice might be you. Look at the legs on her. Boy.
I think it would be safe that you take beauty over brains.
No. I like beauty coupled with brains. I do like, I mean, I prefer a beautiful woman to a non-beautiful woman, and I know that's discriminatory. I know people say how horrible. He's a horrible human being to say that. But I'll tell you what, men, raise your hands. Does anybody disagree with me?
Anybody disagree with me? Yeah, I know that's discriminatory. Come on, men. In the lead up to that interview, the team at A Closer Look actually sent one of their camera crews to Mar-a-Lago to shoot a profile piece on Trump that preceded that interview, showcasing his life as a newly divorced man, having just split from his wife, Ivana. In the footage, a lot of the women here are apparently were cheerleaders for the Buffalo Bills. Turns out they were in town for a game against the Miami Dolphins. Trump is the host of the party. There's footage of him at one point grabbing one woman by her waist and then later patting her on the rear end. But one of the reasons this footage is appearing now, one of the reasons that MSNBC dug it up all these years later is because one of the guests who can be seen in this footage is Jeffrey Epstein. The same Jeffrey Epstein who just this past week was charged in federal court on child sex trafficking charges. That's Epstein there in the jean shirt. In this newly uncovered tape, Trump is seen personally welcoming Epstein and some other guests as they arrive at the party. Later, Trump and Epstein are seen on camera sort of gawking at the women on the dance floor. Trump appears to tell Jeffrey Epstein, look at her back there, she's hot. Then thereafter, Trump whispers something into Epstein's ear that causes Epstein to double over in laughter while they keep looking at the women. I mean, it would be one thing if there was just this one newly rediscovered piece of tape showing our current president ogling women with a man who is now a convicted sex offender who's on trial on very serious sex trafficking charges. But there is more. And if you're wondering if the president's recent ramp up of his racist provocation stuff that he's been doing these last few days might at all be driven by the fact that Epstein was just arrested and his case is now sort of rapidly exploding, It is worth understanding the president's standing in the Epstein matter, and we have more on that next. Stay with us. Today, MSNBC aired this footage of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein together at a party that President Trump hosted at his Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. The two men appear to be appraising the assets of a bunch of women who are dancing at the party. This is in the early 90s. In the same year that Donald Trump hosted that party, a Florida businessman says he was tasked with organizing an exclusive calendar girl competition at Mar-a-Lago. That organizer told the New York Times that he was surprised to learn that there were only 2 extra guests who were invited to attend a party with the more than 24 girls who were in the competition. It was the 28 girls, 28 women from the competition, and only 2 other people at the whole party, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. Over the past few weeks, pictures have emerged of Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein hanging out at Mar-a-Lago. Here's them in 1997. Here's them in the year 2000. In this later photo, you see Donald Trump standing alongside Melania, who was his girlfriend at the time and would become his wife. Next to them are Jeffrey Epstein and a British socialite who now stands accused by several of Epstein's alleged victims of having recruited the underage girls who were basically groomed to have sex with Epstein. She has denied any wrongdoing. There's also the New York Magazine profile of Jeffrey Epstein from 2002, in which Donald Trump talks about what great pals they are and how great Jeffrey Epstein is as a buddy. Quote, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It is even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it, Jeffrey enjoys his social life." A Golf magazine has also published an article recounting the time that Epstein showed up late for a ride on Trump's private plane. Epstein's infamous black book, essentially a Rolodex of all his contacts, shows no fewer than 15 different ways he had to get in contact with Donald Trump, 15 different numbers he had for Trump and people who worked for Trump that could put him in touch with him. And then there are the more serious allegations connecting the two men. In a deposition in a 2010 lawsuit that accused him of child sex trafficking, Epstein declined to answer a question about his relationship with Trump and whether they had ever socialized together, quote, "in the presence of females under the age of 18. When Epstein was asked about that, this is how he responded, quote, "Though I'd like to answer that question, at least today I'm going to have to assert my 5th, 6th, 23rd, and 14th Amendment rights." In 2016, an anonymous woman sued Donald Trump, alleging that she was 13 years old when Trump raped her at a party hosted by Epstein. That lawsuit was later dropped just before the election. Trump denied doing anything wrong. All of that has been hanging out there in the public record for years, but it was catapulted back into our consciousness last week when federal prosecutors charged Epstein with sex trafficking charges in federal court in New York. And now anybody with ties to Epstein may be freaking out a little. At Monday's bail hearing for Epstein, prosecutors made it abundantly clear that their case is, in their words, only getting stronger. Quote, "After 7 days of this case being public following months of a covert investigation, the evidence is already significantly stronger and getting stronger every single day. Many individuals identifying themselves as victims and witnesses have contacted the government, and we are in process of receiving and corroborating this additional evidence." As I mentioned at the top of the show, tomorrow morning at 11:30 a.m., the judge in Epstein's case will rule on whether or not Jeffrey Epstein should be allowed out of jail on bail as he awaits trial. There is no way to predict what the judge will do in terms of this decision, but there is good reason to think it's not going to go Epstein's way. I mean, in federal law, there is a presumption against granting bail to defendants accused specifically of sex trafficking. It's rare in federal law, but it does apply here. And on top of that, prosecutors have made this striking case for Epstein's means and motive to flee if the judge lets him out. The $110 million in a bank account, tens of thousands of dollars in cash in a safe in one of his houses, the 48 diamonds, right, which is an efficient way to carry around huge amounts of easily liquefiable wealth. He has at least one home in a foreign country. Prosecutors and the defense have been back and forth over the past few days about this odd fake passport, which has a picture of him under it, but it's a fake name. I mean, all of that on top of prosecutors' allegations that he's been tampering with potential witnesses in the case. I mean, all that adds up to very low expectations that the judge will release Epstein rather than keep him locked up in federal detention in Manhattan. And if Jeff Epstein learns tomorrow morning that he's about to spend months in federal lockup before he goes on trial and he may never get out of custody again, I mean, we don't know what that might do to Epstein's approach to his defense and what he might want to talk to prosecutors about. there is a general sense that the blood pressure in the White House has been running higher than normal since Epstein was arrested. And it is not possible to know if this is just the new crazy, this is just newly how it is, or if it's a deliberate effort to try to distract from something, right? Could this be the president hitting the panic button to distract from something else that is coming down the pike?
Some people have an ability that they really don't worry about things too much. I would say that I have that ability. If I did, I probably would have been in a corner with my thumb in my mouth and just going, you know, Mommy, take me home. I want to go home.
Well, you certainly aren't doing that. We saw evidence of that.
No, I'm not. No. Somebody else's thumb in my mouth.